Thank you for joining me. My name is Jennifer McCray. Today I'm sharing with you my favorite assessment tool, which is a website that I use called Kahoot. Kahoot is an interactive online assessment tool that allows teachers to create online quizzes that students can then use their personal electronic devices to respond to those. Sort of like the old clicker responders, but students, instead of using those clickers, are using their cell phones, their tablets, laptops, and of course those can be personal or those that you have at your school. When you sign up for Kahoot, you go to a website called getkahoot.com. You may sign up for free. It gives you, if you click on this, it will prompt you to create a username and a password, and it will ask for some basic information about your role in your school system, the name of your school system, and an email address. Once you have created your free account, I will show you what it looks like once you sign into Kahoot. So this is what Kahoot looks like when you initially sign in. It gives you the option to create 3 different types of Kahoot quizzes and surveys. You can create just a regular quiz, which is the feature that I intend to show you today. You can create a discussion posting, or you can create a class survey. If you click on the quiz option, it will prompt you to create a multiple choice quiz. As I said, that students will then be able to use their electronic devices to answer questions in regards to that. I'm going to show you what the one that I created a few weeks ago, exponent properties, what that particular quiz looks like. Excuse me, I didn't mean to click that. Here we go. When you're creating a quiz, you type in your question here, and then you type in your 4 multiple choice answers, and you of course mark the one that is in fact the correct answer. You want to be sure that you switch that up a little bit so that the correct answer is not always in the same place, and you'll be able to see that once we start the quiz in just a moment. When you are typing in Kahoot, one of the things that I really appreciate, and especially as a math teacher, is that you're given the option to use exponents and a few other symbols up here, which, as you can see toward the end of even this particular quiz, came in handy, as this particular quiz was over exponents. So you can add as many questions as you would like. Once you've created your quiz, you have the option of looking over those questions one final time to ensure that you haven't made any typos or any errors. You can change the language, you can change privacy settings, you can change your audience, difficulty level. You can add a lot of different features to your particular Kahoot quiz. In the end, what it's going to look like when you play it with your class is this. Even at this opportunity, once you're playing it with your class, you have several different options. One of the things that I like to do is display the game pin throughout the game. In case a student gets bumped out of the game because of internet failure or a problem with their technology, then they can get right back in using the game pin that's still being displayed. Most of the students at my school no longer need the instructions because we've been using Kahoot for so long, but you can leave those. You can randomize the order of your questions, which is a feature I like. You can randomize the order of your answers, which is very helpful. And you have the option of turning the music off, though I will say that the students do very much enjoy that music. Then you hit launch. And it gives students a game pin. They go to a different website. They go to kahoot.it in order to join the game. And when they go to kahoot.it, this is what they are. This is the screen that they will be looking at. It will ask for their game pin. Once they enter the game pin, I'll show you what this looks like. Once they enter the game pin, it's going to then ask them to create a username. It's pretty standard procedure in my classroom that your username is always going to be a combination of your first initial and your last name. You'll see in a few moments why that's so important. Not only, of course, so that their names are appropriate, but later on when you're looking at the data and your students' results, it's very clear to you which student is which, as opposed to letting them pick their own little funny nicknames. Once students are logged in, their names will appear here if they, for some reason, did not follow the rules or if they created a naughty nickname. You can click on their name and it will boot them out of the game and they'll have to sign back in. Once everyone is signed in, your Kahoot game starts. It gives the students the question, when multiplying powers with the same base, you should, and I always like to read that question out to my class. And then on their phones, they're given a red box, a blue, a green, and a yellow. The actual answers themselves are only written on this screen. On their screen, they're only seeing those four different colors. You can see that it timed me out, and I didn't get a chance to answer. So it's showing that no one in the class answered the question at all, let alone answer it correctly. But let me show you. It does give a scoreboard at the end of each question also. I'll explain that in a moment. Let me show you what it looks like when someone actually answers the question. Once every student has answered, it gives you this screen, and you can see here the check mark means that the blue was the correct answer, and this is showing you that all of the students in this particular case, because there's only one, answered the question correctly, and that no student answered incorrectly. However, if a student had answered incorrectly, I'll show you what that looks like next. So the correct answer according to this check here was actually green, 12 to the 16th power. However, this only student in this class answered the question incorrectly. So it shows you very quickly with this bar graph how many students answered the question incorrectly, and if they missed the question, what their incorrect choice was. As a teacher, I love this feature because it gives me the opportunity to instantly correct any students who may have made any type of error, to re-explain a concept to the class, to explain any misconceptions that may exist. Again, at the end of each question, it gives you a look at the scoreboard. The scoreboard shows all of the students, like I believe it's the top 5 that it would typically show the students. However, on students' individual devices, it tells them who's right ahead of them and right below them. So even if they're not one of the top 5 on this leaderboard, there's still the competition amongst friends, amongst students, that keeps them engaged in the activity. I want to show one other feature about Kahoot that I really enjoy, and that is the way that you can go back in. I know it's giving you feedback and results right there, but what I really like is when you can go back, which for the moment, I'm not seeing it. I'm going to go back in this way. When you go into Kahoot, you don't have to pull the student data right away. You see right here that it's showing me my recent results from quizzes that I've played, and it actually will even go back and show me all results. I'm going to go back to the day that we did this exponent property activity and show you what this looks like. It is downloading the file here. Takes just a moment for it to open, and once it does, I want to click off of my students' names, but I did want to note there that it actually is showing me each of my students and how well they did on this particular quiz, but it's showing question for question. not only whether or not they answered correctly or incorrectly, which is what the green and red indicates, but this is pulling up a spreadsheet that's actually showing me what their incorrect answer was. So if I chose to do so as a teacher, you could even potentially take a classwork grade on a Kahoot quiz, because it's showing you the number of correct answers, the number of incorrect answers, what their score overall would have been, and you can very quickly see which students may need some additional help and some additional practice, and which students are ready to move on to perhaps a new skill. Kahoot is definitely one of my favorite assessment tools, both as a formative assessment and as something that I like to do right before a summative assessment to get a good feel for who's understanding the concepts and who perhaps needs a little bit of help. I think it's great for the students also because they're getting that instant feedback of whether or not they're answering the questions correctly, and that instant feedback is priceless. I've had so many students who have come to me later on and said, you know, I thought that I understood it, but we played that Kahoot and I just knew that I wasn't quite there yet. So I went home and I studied for a few days and I worked really hard, and then by the time they get to the actual summative assessment that's in class, they perform very well. Kahoot's just a really great gauge, not only for students, but also for their teachers. I appreciate you viewing my screencast today. I hope that you sign up for Kahoot and that it becomes your favorite assessment tool also.